In this video, I'm going to share with you my last experience, most recent experience with LSD. And this was a microdose experience, but it just turned out into a full-blown trip. Okay, so I'm gonna label it as a trip, even though it was a microdosing experience. And so before I do that, before I go on ranting and rambling, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. This is a really cool and badass channel. Okay, if you want to hear more of my experiences with psychedelics, with consciousness, and some philosophies and blah 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 blah, then make sure you subscribe. Okay, otherwise you're missing out. If you're already subscribed, for you guys who are subscribed, beside where it says subscribe, just go down, do it right now. Okay, there's a notification bell. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time this slick-haired weirdo opens his mouth to rant about something. You will get notified. So the LSD experience, I'm calling it a trip, even though it was a microdose, because it really turned into a full-blown trip for me. And I think part of it is because I've given myself a tolerance break from microdosing, and then I went at it again. I've only taken a fourth of a tap. Okay, that's, by my standards, not much at all. Okay, but again, it was because of the tolerance break. And I thought, here we go, another microdosing day, you know, just give me more in flow and I'll go on about my day. Well, little did I know, because I was in a very relaxed state when I woke up, and I just had nothing to do that day. I just gave myself the permission, let's say, to do nothing. You know, that's something that I realized I don't do much of because life is busy. But I gave myself, this was yesterday, in reference, in relative to this time-space continuum that I'm inhabiting at this current moment. This was yesterday. So, where was I? Yeah. I think because I gave myself the permission to do nothing. How often do we do that? But I gave myself the permission to do nothing. I didn't take the microdose to make videos or study or do anything. I'm like, I'm gonna do nothing. And I did exactly that. Okay? I took the microdose, I stretched around, you know, I was tense, woke up tense. And just stretched around, you know, I thought this is gonna be just another day. I'm gonna go for a walk or something, you know. And then the force was becoming very strong with me as the microdose hit. And again, it's the tolerance break, I think, really made a significance here. But I felt the force was coming strong. I gotten good sleep, you know, I slept for like 11 hours. And I felt the force. Just, you know, I felt the force. The force awakens, right? It was awakening in me. So I sat down and put on my blindfold meditation, the one that's called, I showed it to you guys in previous videos, Mindfold, I think it's called Mindfold. Yeah, Mindfold, you can get it from Amazon. Superb, one of the best tools for meditation. Put it on, sat down. I've been trying to fix my posture as of late for meditation, so I was relatively comfortable. And I did the 1/2 breathing. And I did that. And I kept doing that, kept doing it. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 6 rounds. No, I didn't get to 6th round, 5 rounds. And I was so fucking blissed out on the oxygen, on the endorphins, and on the microdose. And I started to see lights, like just white lights, and I was getting into ecstasy at this point, right? And what I forgot to mention, and this was for me critical, is as I was doing all of this, I had my earphones in and I was listening to Sufi music, right? Sufi music, just go look up Sufi music. It's the 1 hour Turkish Sufi music particularly, right? And you know, I like to listen to this Turkish Sufi music, particularly Turkish. Something about the language I like, and also the music itself, the Turkish music, the Sufi tradition around the music is absolutely, you know, it is heart-opening, and it just makes you so grateful. I mean, one of the songs that I listened to, I mean, they're literally just sitting there saying Alhamdulillah, 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 which is, you know, gratitude means thank you. In Arabic, it translates, you know, and they say it Alhamdulillah, right? So they go Alhamdulillah, 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 and they're just like thanking, grateful. And you know, I'm blissed out on this oxygen and endorphins from the breathing, and then the microdose is kicking in and all the serotonin. I'm essentially in total ecstasy, and I'm listening to this music that is just so humbling and grateful, and just, it's basically saying the name of God in gratitude, right? So I felt this insane surge of just pure gratitude for being, really, just for being, like, just for gratitude for realizing that I'm grateful, for being even able to be grateful. You see, that was the gratitude. It was one of those gratitudes where I'm so grateful that I'm grateful, you know, one of those mind fuck inception shit. So it was one of those. And so as I was, you know, in this just bliss, in this ocean of bliss, another song played, and this one sent me immediately into tears, you know, rivers coming down my cheeks. And the song, it's basically the chant, because it's just chants with some beautiful music, right? The chant is La ilaha illallah, which means there's no God but God in Arabic. And in my mind, it just automatically translates into oneness, right? Because that's what it is. There's no God but God. It is oneness, right? And the song plays. This was 30 minutes into the breathing, 30 minutes into all of this. So I've into being in the mindful, in the darkness meditation. So really, like, I'm seeing lights, things are happening, I'm ecstatic. This has been going on for 30 minutes, right? Almost like a setup. And as soon as that song started playing, I remembered it took me to a place in Dundas where I used to live. It took me to a place, I call it the Stairway to Heaven, and I used to take my friends there, and they would be just in awe, because it's an overview of the city of Hamilton, and you're surrounded in the middle of nature, and there's nobody. Like, it's magical place. And I used to sit there and listen to these Sufi songs and just be grateful and be in magnificent awe of God, and cry and laugh and all of that, right? I used to do that when I was there. This was my best year in Canada, because I was just always spending my time in nature and connecting to source. So it sent me to that place immediately, because I used to listen to the specific song, because I would sit around in nature and I would see the oneness and everything, and I would just send tears down my face in joy, in awe, and happiness. So it took me to that specific place, and I started crying. I started just crying and weeping. It's not just crying, it's weeping. It's like weeping, man, weeping. And the weeping, this was interesting. It was a mixed emotions of joy and despair for the earth, because I felt the suffering. It was almost, I became Gaia herself. It was almost as if at that moment my consciousness incarnated became the consciousness of the Gaia. And I realized I come from Gaia, my body, my human body, right? Because there is the soul inside the body, right? The Atman inside this nature package called human. And my human body, when it dies, it's going to go back into the earth. And it evolved. It came literally out of the earth. And I was crying in deep tears, and I was saying, why are we doing this to you? Why are we doing this to you? Why are we just throwing garbage in you? Why are we raping you and pillaging you? And I was just crying. I was weeping for the planet. I was weeping for the earth. And in this moment, I asked myself, why am I here? And then the answer came immediately right there to me. I'm here for the planet. That was the answer. I'm here for the planet. And it sounds very emotional, very hippie, and even self-righteous. Like, how dare you? Who are you to be here for the planet? But this is how I was feeling. I'm just reporting how I was feeling, right? I asked myself, and I was weeping. Why am I here? And then the answer was very clear. I'm here for the planet. I'm here for the planet. And I felt this paternalistic, protective sense of, I want to protect this planet. I want to save this earth. Okay? I want to save the earth. How self-righteous, right? How bizarre. How dare you? But really, those are the thoughts that came to me in that very deep emotional moment. Is I am here for the planet. I love the planet. And I asked myself why. I was like, because I love you. It's like I was having a conversation with Gaia herself, with the consciousness of the planet. And really, I think that song, listening to that song, for that Sufi song that I used to listen to while I was in there, immersed in beautiful nature by myself, because nobody even knew about these places, right? Very few people knew about them. Immersed there with practically just my shorts, and that's it, right? And just feeling the oneness of nature took me to that one place, and I was like, I really miss this. I really miss this. So after crying for about 30 minutes, guys, I was just weeping for the earth. I felt the suffering of Gaia. Then the wisdom, I started laughing. The wisdom came and said, you know what? The earth doesn't give a fuck. The earth, you know, that comedian again, that wise comedian comes in me again after experiencing this deep emotional state and says, the earth doesn't give a fuck. The earth has been here for, what, 4.7 billion years? However long. The earth doesn't give a shit. Okay? The earth will rewire itself, will heal itself. Gaia will be Gaia. Gaia will be a better version of Gaia. Okay? And it will fix herself. But nevertheless, in this present moment, the earth is hurting. Gaia is hurting. And because Gaia is hurting, we're hurting. As humans. Because as humans, our bodies have literally evolved out of nature. And are literally going back into nature. Okay? However, if you cremate your body, it turns into ashes, turns into air, into space, goes on the earth, and goes into the earth again. Okay? And if you're buried, your body decomposes into the earth. So as a human, you are connected to the planet. You're so connected instinctually. You know, as a human, the moment you're born, you know your body, your physical body is going back to that place. And your soul, the Atman, it's a loving awareness. So of course it cares for the earth. It's here temporarily. You know, your soul is here temporarily. But it cares and it loves, and it's loving awareness. So of course it wants to help the planet. It wants to connect itself. It wants to connect this human package that it's in with its mother. And I felt like a child apologizing to his mother, saying, sorry, mother. It was like, you know, a child that has done something. And the mother, I felt this Gaia was very compassionate and very loving. Even though she's hurting at the moment. She really is hurting. And I felt her pain and felt her suffering. And we're hurting because we're all one. So I was hurting. All of us are hurting, man. Humanity is hurting and suffering. It's suffering. Humanity is hurting and it's suffering. And there are many reasons for it. Part of it is because life is suffering and its impermanence. But another big reason is because we severed our connection to nature, where we come from and where we go back to. We severed our connection with the animals. We severed our connection with the plants. We severed our connection with the ecosystem. And you know what? Here I am in this car, contributing to it. You know, and I realized I'm contributing to this. Like I would be a hypocrite to say, don't do this, don't do that, don't waste, because I am a wasteful person by virtue of living in North America and just having all these pre-assumptions and preconceived thoughts and ideas about how things should be. Yeah, like I am a wasteful person and I am harming this planet. And you know, felt very apologetic. I was like apologizing to the earth, first of all, on my own behalf, because I was like, my fellow brothers and sisters, my fellow humans who are contributing to this, I can't do nothing for them. I can't change anybody. I can change myself. And I felt apologetic, you know. Here I am driving a car, you know. I take hot showers and I just kind of like do whatever I want there. And I don't think where this water is coming from, the heating, the fossil fuels that are being burned, right? Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. You know, I really am. And I felt, and we are self-harming. When we harm the planet, we harm ourselves. Because guess what? The most basic element is oxygen. Okay? The toxins, the toxicity that we're putting in the air, guess who's breathing it, motherfucker? Karma. This is karma. Instant karma. Because karma is always working within time and space. Guess who's breathing it? Us. Human beings who think we're above everything else, and we think we're so intelligent, and we build these cities and we say, hey, you know, fuck all the other animals. This is us humans. This is what's important to us, building buildings and making money and having, you know, the latest technology, the latest things. That's what we think. But guess who's breathing that air? And guess what's causing all these diseases? Who's eating that food that's spread with pesticides and all kinds of God knows what chemicals that are causing so much pain and chronic illnesses and anxiety and depression? Why do you think all these chronic illnesses, the figures keep going up? Yeah, we harm the planet, we harm ourselves, because we are the planet and the planet is us. And this was a big realization for me, you know, and long overdue, because really, you know, speaking for me personally, take the 3 months that I've moved to Ottawa, last 3 months. The year before was my happiest year ever. And I was living very minimalistically. If you guys remember the small ass room that I had, and I made a video about minimalism. I was living very minimalistically. And in a sense, am living very minimalistically. No car. I lived on the outskirts in a beautiful place called Gandhis, and I was, you know, around nature all the time, always there for hours and hours and hours, always there, always happy, always grateful. I mean, this was like a beautiful phase because you know, in a way, I really was connected to the planet, you know, in a big way, not in a full way. I still wasn't growing my food. I, you know, wasn't still, you know, getting my own food and really being there in nature, but to a large degree I was on the outskirts, always there. So now being here in the city for, you know, reasons that are beyond this video, driving a car, right? I mean, this is only going to be for 9 more months. Then I will be traveling east, going back to just a more connection with nature, less waste, less harm. I realized something. I can't do nothing even for the planet herself, for Gaia. I can only just take care of, reduce my waste, reduce my footprint, and that's all I can do. And I can, like Gandhi said, when Gandhi was dying, somebody went to Gandhi and said, give me a message. What is the message? You know, let me tell people this message. And he said, my life is my message. And truly his life was his message, right? And I figure, you know what? I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a hypocrite. I'm crying for the planet, but I'm not really like, I'm not exactly a model for how I would like the connection of a human being to be to the planet. I'm not a model. I'm far from it. And I've got ways to go, and I've got work to do here. You know, that's what I realized. I've got work to do. And I don't want this to come from a self-righteous perspective. Meaning, I'm going to try my best to never, like, be a preacher. Well, that's difficult making these videos. But I'm going to try my best not to force anything down anyone's throat. Because that gets us out of non-dualism into dualism and into us and them. Right? What I can do, and what I promise myself to do, is, you know, to start being more conscious, more aware of my connection to the planet and my waste as a human being, and how to minimize it, and how to eventually basically just kind of live a very sustainable life, basically, essentially. And this is, I have a lot of work to do in this, you know. You're gonna see most of my videos are gonna be made in this car. right? I drive a car, and it's, you know, there's Teslas now, which is amazing, right? They're expensive though. I don't have the money for it. But again, what can we do but just embody, be the change we want to see? You know, I'm really, like, what else are we going to do? Like, what else am I going to do? Am I going to become an environmentalist here? You know, am I going to become like part of a group, part of a potentially a cult that basically shuts, like with some militant vegans, for example, they have a noble cause, really, but it becomes profane when it doesn't take into account that you're talking to your fellow brothers and sisters. Yes, look at look, most humans are unconscious, but you know, like, we gotta have compassion, man. This is a game. This is a tough game we're playing here. You know, it's a drama. We're playing out a drama. And yes, most people are unconscious, but that's probably because they're still in the early phases of their cycle of reincarnation, and they're still got ways to go before they wake up. The illusion is too strong, you know? So we've got to have compassion. We've got to practice compassion. Yes, it's the bullshit of the humans. Sometimes I just want to, like, punch everyone. I'm not kidding. Like, sometimes I'm just like, you fucking idiots, you know? But then I realize, like, when you call someone an idiot and you go with anger, you put on the vibration of anger, and that's all you're going to get back. And if we're talking about the present moment, what is the best thing to do in the present moment? Is to be love, to embody the highest possible vibration you can, be as joyful as you can, and let your life be your message. And perhaps that's the most inspirational thing you can do. So that was a realization for me that, you know, I've got ways to go when it comes to this, when it comes to living a more sustainable life. And I have compassion for myself because I'm just, here I am, thrown in this life, thrown into this big military industrial complex. And yes, I have compassion for myself. Yes, I'm not blaming myself, and I'm not going to feel guilty. Because it's just a system, man. We're all just running on momentum, running on systems, and this process of awakening, it takes time. You realize how fucked everything is, and you realize how much work you have to do, and you realize how much work you have to do on yourself, right? On just worry about you. That's what I always keep telling myself. Worry about you. So that was a trip. That was, I mean, really, it was a microdose, but it just turned into a trip. It turned into a full-blown trip, and after that, I went out, basically hippieing myself out, right? Like, I was kissing the floors and kissing the earth, and I was like chilling with squirrels. Like, I was just literally chilling. There was like an area, okay, where it's all squirrels. And if you've ever sit down and watch squirrels, you'll lose your shit. You're gonna crack up. All right, they're comedians. They're playful. They're hilarious. They're hilarious. And if they sense you there laughing with them, they'll come close to you, and they'll like dance in front of you and shit. I'm not kidding. You just go chill with some squirrels, okay? So I was chilling with some squirrels after, and I came to all these realizations as I was walking, and I was like hugging trees and stuff. So yeah, ways to go for me personally when it comes to that. But it's good to realize that. It's good to have these feelings of, to become the planet itself, to embody its consciousness and realize the suffering that you're causing to the planet, and suffering causing to yourself, right? This chronic fatigue and tension and inflammation, all of that, that's because we're treating the planet like shit. This is the first sin. The first sin is when we severed our connection with nature. So, like my hero Wim Hof says, we've gotta get back to Mother Nature. And I guess I'm gonna work on that for the next whatever, right? I'm gonna just be working on that from now on, and planning my life that way, to be coexisting in harmony and minimal waste, in sustainability with Mother Earth, with Mother Nature, because we're her children and we go back to her. We came from her and we go back to her. We came out of her vagina and we're gonna go back into her, become her, as humans, as our human body, right? So that's it. That's it, guys. God bless you all. Make sure to check out my free book, 5 Powerful Habits to Dominate Life in All Areas, if you just want to read some stuff that'll help you with your day-to-day life. And that's it, guys. I love you. I love every single one of you. But don't forget to subscribe. if you want to hear more of these stories. Don't forget to subscribe, or you're gonna sleep with the fishes.